Good afternoon. Welcome to the Midday News on Rajya Sabha Television, where we get you all the developing news stories from India and across the world, and especially all the news on budget session of Parliament. I'm Ashwarya, and these are the headlines. India stands vindicated at International Court of Justice in Kulbhushan Jadhav case, says External Affairs Minister in statements in Parliament. Urges Islamabad to release Jadhav immediately. Chief Minister Kumaraswamy moves a trust vote in Karnataka Assembly. Media reports say many rebel MLAs missing. BS Yediyurappa says trust vote process should be completed in a single day. Mediation in Ayodhya land dispute case to continue till 31st of July. Directs Supreme Court. Seeks a report on outcome by 1st of August. To hear matter in open court on 2nd of August. And ISRO announces new launch date of Chandrayaan-2, launch on 22nd of July at 2:43 p.m. India's second moon mission was aborted this week due to a technical snag. And in sports, sprinter Hima Das continues winning run, finishes on top in 200 meters race in Tabor Athletics in Czech Republic. Claims 4th international gold within 2 weeks. After ICJ's verdict on international Kulbhushan Jadhav on Wednesday, External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar described Jadhav's detention in Pakistan as illegal and under fabricated charges. Making a statement in both houses of Parliament, Jaishankar urged Islamabad to release and repatriate him immediately. The minister added that the verdict of the International Court of Justice is a vindication for Jadhav and for all those who believe in the rule of law.
Sir, the International Court of Justice delivered its judgment on the Jadhav case yesterday, 17 July 2019. Significantly, the court unanimously found that it had jurisdiction on the matter and by a vote of 15-1 pronounced on other key aspects of the case. The sole dissenting judge was from Pakistan. The court pronounced that Pakistan had breached relevant obligations under the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations. It did so by not notifying India without delay of the detention of Sri Jadhav, thereby depriving us of the right to render consular assistance. Pakistan was also found to have deprived India of the right to communicate with Sri Jadhav, have access to him, visit him in detention, and arrange his legal representation. The court declared that Pakistan is under an obligation to inform Sri Jadhav without further delay of his rights and to provide India consular access to him. It stated that the appropriate reparation in this case was for Pakistan to provide, by means of its own choosing, review and reconsideration of the conviction and sentence of Sri Jadhav. It bears noting that the court has re-emphasized that the review and reconsideration of the conviction and sentence must be effective. A continued stay of execution in the judgment of the court constitutes an indispensable condition for the process of effective review and reconsideration. Sir, in 2017, Government made a commitment on the floor of the House to undertake all steps necessary to protect the interests and welfare of Sri Jadhav. Government has made untiring efforts in seeking his release, including through legal means in the International Court of Justice. I'm sure that the House will join me in appreciating the efforts of all those involved, especially the legal team led by Sri Harish Salve. Yesterday's judgment is not only a vindication for India and Sri Jadhav, but for all those who believe in the rule of law and the sanctity of international conventions. The House, I'm sure, joins me in welcoming this landmark judgment. The sentiments I express on this matter are those of the entire House, indeed of the entire nation. Sir, Sri Kulbhushan Jadhav is innocent of the charges levelled against him. No forced confession, that too without legal representation and due process, will change this fact. We once again call upon Pakistan to release and repatriate him forthwith. I am confident that the House will join me in expressing its strongest solidarity with Sri Jadhav's family. They have shown exemplary courage in difficult circumstances. I can assure that the government will vigorously continue its efforts to ensure Sri Jadhav's safety and well-being, as well as his early return to.
Well, India has hailed the verdict of the International Court of Justice in the Kulbhushan Jadhav case in a major victory for India. The ICJ on Wednesday ruled that Pakistan must review the death sentence for International Kulbhushan Jadhav. The Hague-based court ordered an effective review and reconsideration of the conviction and sentencing of Kulbhushan Jadhav. The bench also ruled by 15 votes to 1 that Pakistan had violated India's rights to consular visits after Jadhav's arrest and also called for Jadhav to be given a fair trial. India's lead counsel in this case, Harish Salve, said that the judgment has restored our faith in the rule of law and in the ICJ.
Personally, as a lawyer, I am delighted that the court has upheld our argument that while construing the Vienna Convention, the ICCPR, the Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, must inform its interpretation. All this has led to the court giving us the final relief. We had ambitiously asked for annulment. The court said we can't annul, but they have said that Pakistan has to do everything to make the Vienna Convention right a living reality.
And the Ministry of External Affairs said that the landmark judgment validated India's position in the case fully and added that Pakistan must now implement the directive of the ICJ, like extending consular access to Jadhav immediately.
We welcome the judgment delivered just now by the International Court of Justice in The Hague in favor of India in the case relating to Sri Kulbhushan Jadhav. The court, by a vote of 15 to 1, has upheld India's claim that Pakistan is in egregious violation of the Vienna Convention on Consular Relations 1963 on several counts. We also appreciate the direction by the International Court of Justice that Pakistan should review and reconsider the conviction and sentence given to Sri Jadhav by the Pakistani military court. We note that the court has directed that Pakistan is under an obligation to inform Sri Jadhav without further delay of his rights and to provide Indian consular officers access to him in accordance with the Vienna Convention. We expect Pakistan to implement the directive immediately. This landmark judgment validates India's position on this matter fully. We will continue to work vigorously for Sri Kulbhushan Jadhav's early release and return to India. Thank you.
The Vice President, the Prime Minister and leaders cutting across party spectrum have hailed the ICJ ruling in the Kulbhushan Jadhav case. Welcoming the verdict, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu in a tweet appreciated the government for its relentless efforts to secure justice for Jadhav. He expressed hope that the verdict would serve as a source of solace to the family members. In a Twitter message, Prime Minister Narendra Modi also welcomed the decision of the ICJ. He said that truth and justice have prevailed. Home Minister and BJP Chief Amit Shah termed it a victory of truth which protects human dignity. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar said that he spoke to Jadhav's family and applauded their courage. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh described the judgment as a big win for India, while former External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj hoped that it will provide much-needed solace to Jadhav's family.
काउंसलर एक्सेस की बात कही है कि कुलभूषण जाधव को मिलना चाहिए, इसके लिए आवश्यक निर्देश दिए हैं पाकिस्तान को। तो ये
हुई है, बहुत बड़ी जीत।
हाँ, बहुत बड़ी जीत है, इसमें कहीं दो राय नहीं।
And former External Affairs Minister Sushma Swaraj also termed the verdict a huge victory for India. She also thanked Prime Minister Narendra Modi for taking the case to the ICJ and also to senior advocate Harish Salve for arguing the matter very effectively and successfully. And now let's take a look at the legislative business in Rajya Sabha. The Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Amendment Bill 2019 or the POCSO Act will be introduced in the House. Now, this bill aims to amend the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act of 2012. POCSO Act deals with crime against children and it includes a death penalty for sexual assault on minors. Amendments in the POCSO Act will also provide for fines and the imprisonment to curb child pornography. And Ravi Shankar Prasad, the Union Minister, will move the New Delhi International Arbitration Centre Bill 2019 for consideration and passing. The bill provides to establish an autonomous and independent institution for better management of arbitration in our country. It also aims to establish the New Delhi International Arbitration Centre or the NDIAC to conduct arbitration, mediation and conciliation proceedings. It also declares the NDIAC as an institution of national importance. And Ravi Shankar Prasad will also move the Arbitration and Conciliation Amendment Bill 2019 for consideration and passing, which seeks to amend the Arbitration and Conciliation Act 1996. It also aims to establish an independent body called the Arbitration Council of India for the promotion of arbitration, mediation, conciliation and other alternative dispute redressal mechanisms. All right, our colleague Akhilesh Suman is now joining us live from Parliament. A very good afternoon, Akhilesh. Akhilesh, we saw a very important statement by the External Affairs Minister in both houses of Parliament today in the Jadhav case. And in the post-lunch session, three very important bills are going to come up in Rajya Sabha. And of course, of them, the most important, of course, is the POCSO bill that will be introduced in the House.
Right, you know that it is also interesting that when this incident had taken place, Mr. Kulbhushan Jadhav's incident, then Subrahmanyam Jaishankar was Foreign Secretary of India and now he is External Affairs Minister of India. So it's a coincidence that in the capacity of Foreign Secretary he tried, and now in the capacity of External Affairs Minister he had won a partial victory. So in that way, you know, the way it was considered to be near impossible. Our man, Mr. Kulbhushan Jadhav, was in enemy territory and he was abducted and he was jailed and a false hearing was made and then he was sentenced to death. After that, it was a great trial and tribulation for Government of India and for people of India that everyone unanimously supported Kulbhushan Jadhav's sentiment, and also we went to International Court of Justice, and now International Court of Justice, after making threadbare analysis of the case, hearing both the parties, I mean India and Pakistan, it came to the decision that the trial was not fair. And that is why the International Court of Justice has said that if there is any legal hindrance in retrying the verdict placed by Military Court of Pakistan, you should amend and change the law to make it retrial and to reconsider and effectively review the case. So I think it's a great insinuation against Pakistan, the way it has tried and falsely implicated a gentleman who was doing business near Chabahar port. So I think it was now it is a really tough time for Pakistan, how they will comply with the verdict of ICJ. And I think that the international situation demands that Pakistan will comply. And I have got through a short statement by Foreign Ministry of Pakistan yesterday, and they have said, though they have said many things, but they have also said that they will comply with the ICJ verdict. So it will be interesting to see that whether they create a special court, whether they go to civilian court, or how they involve the Indian representatives to represent Mr. Jadhav, to get consular access to Mr. Jadhav and give legal assistance to Mr. Jadhav. So
All right, we have to wait and watch. An External Affairs Minister S. Shankar, they are making statement in both houses of Parliament. Akhilesh, stay with us. We'll just come back to you. And Union Minister Nirmala Sitharaman moved the Finance Bill 2019 for consideration and passing in Lok Sabha a short while ago. And this was amid opposition by the opposition MPs. The bill contains tax proposals of the government for this fiscal. The budgetary exercise for 2019-20 will be completed with the passage of the finance bill by Parliament. Remember, the Lok Sabha had on Wednesday passed the appropriation number 2 bill 2019. The bill was passed by a voice vote after the House approved demands for grants for several ministries, which were collectively put to vote and passed by applying Bulletin. The bill allows the union government to withdraw 98.18 lakh crore rupees from the Consolidated Fund of India to meet its expenditure during 2019-20. Let's go back to Akhilesh. Akhilesh, talking about this present Lok Sabha session, we are witnessing the most productive in 20 years, and reports also said that the government is now contemplating to extend the sittings for a few more days. What more can you tell us?
Right. It is often said, that the onus of running the House goes to both Treasury benches and opposition benches. Yes. So in this session, we have seen that Treasury benches pushed forward its, bills, its agenda, its issues, and opposition benches also joined together in discussing those issues. So I think both Treasury and opposition were unanimous that the business of the House should go, and whatever business is left, we can sit for longer times. So amidst some disruptions we have seen in Lok Sabha in this session, I think that it was a tremendous task taken by parliamentarians in Lok Sabha, that they have sat till 12 in the night and they have disposed the business. So I think it's a very legitimate congratulations. Everyone is congratulating Lok Sabha members, Lok Sabha Speaker also. And in the same way, Rajya Sabha was also functioning very well. And that today's business you were talking about, the POCSO bill and the international arbitration bill, we will see some interesting debate in Rajya Sabha also today, because before international arbitration bill comes, some members in the opposition are coming with a statutory resolution that will question why ordinance was taken in Rajya Sabha, because in connection with this international arbitration center establishment. So I think the way Parliament discusses things, the way parliamentarians threadbare analyze the whole importance and also the regions and causes of certain bills and certain issues, I think it is an inspiring session, and I can say that both houses had functioned very well in this session, and a few days are left. And today when Lok Sabha is going to discuss the budget, the finance bill, I think a few days are left, and I think something interesting will come. The government will also have to reply that how they will get the $5 trillion economy in, by 2025, yes, and how employment will grow. So all these things are being discussed, and that is a good thing. Everyone is sensing this. Aishwarya?
Right. Thank you so much, Akhilesh, for all those updates on Parliament. All right, now let's get to some political news. The Karnataka Chief Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy today moved the confidence motion in the Assembly after a rebellion by a section of the ruling Congress and JDS coalition lawmakers. Now, with the numbers stacked against the ruling coalition, Kumaraswamy moved a one-line motion saying that the House expresses confidence in the ministry headed by him. Now, as soon as the motion was moved, the opposition BJP leader B.S. Yediyurappa stood up and he said that the trust vote process should be completed in a single day. And the trial of strength is taking place a day after the Supreme Court ruled that the 15 rebel Congress JDS MLAs ought not to be compelled to participate in the proceedings in the ongoing session of the Assembly. Remember, as many as 16 MLAs, namely 13 from the Congress and 3 from the JDS, have resigned, and 2 independent MLAs have also withdrawn their support to the coalition government. Now, the ruling coalition strength in the House is 117, and if the resignations of the rebel MLAs are accepted, then the ruling coalition's tally will plummet to 101, that is excluding the Speaker, and reducing the Kumaraswamy government to a minority. All right, let's get a perspective. We have with us Mr. Sandeep Balakrishna, who's a columnist who's joining us on the phone line from Bangalore. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here on Rajya Sabha television. Sir, Karnataka Chief Minister H.D. Kumaraswamy today moved a motion for a trust vote, and he said that he was confident of winning the test of strength. But, we also saw prominent Congress rebel Ramalinga Reddy there present in the House, which indicates that he's back in the fold. But, it doesn't make any difference to the Congress-JDS coalition's precarious position. So how do you look at the trust vote today? Will it be completed today?
I've been, thanks first of all, I've been glued to the TV since morning, since the session started, and it looks like this trust vote thing will go on perhaps all night, maybe spill over to tomorrow. But at a very high level, I think that both the Congress and the JDS coalition government are only, making last-ditch attempts to delay the inevitable, which is the fall of this coalition government. And as we speak, and just like you said, the number of MLAs with the BJP is about 107, and Congress JDS is about 101 or 102. So from all angles, it appears that only a miracle can save the government of H.D. Kumaraswamy.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for all those updates there. So H.D. Kumaraswamy there showing a very brave face, but it is very clear that the numbers are highly stacked against the ruling coalition. We have to wait and watch what happens there. And on to some other news now. Well, Chandrayaan 2 will now be launched next week on Monday. Making the announcement, ISRO today said that the rescheduled launch will now take place at 2:43 p.m. The launch was, remember, aborted earlier this week following a technical snag in its most powerful rocket, GSLV Mark III. On to the other top story this afternoon. The Supreme Court today allowed mediation process in the Ayodhya land dispute case to continue and sought a report on its outcome by 1st of August. A 5-judge constitution bench headed by Chief Justice Ranjan Gogoi said that after pursuing the report filed by the mediation panel, it will take a call on 2nd of August on whether hearing is required in the case. The bench, which pursued the report filed by a panel headed by former Apex Court Judge F.M. Kalifullah, said that its contents will remain confidential as per its earlier order. The Apex Court requested the committee to inform it by 1st of August about the outcome of the proceedings held till 31st of July. Prime Minister Narendra Modi is scheduled to meet members of parliament who are above 57 years of age, including his cabinet colleagues, at his residence in New Delhi as part of engaging with the fellow parliamentarians program today. The Union Cabinet took several key decisions in a meeting chaired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi on Wednesday. The Cabinet approved 1,600 crore rupees pre-investment activities of the Dibang multipurpose project in Arunachal Pradesh. Now, the highest ever hydroelectric project to be constructed in India shall generate 2,880 megawatts of power to produce 11,223 MU of energy. The Cabinet also approved the National Medical Commission Bill, which seeks to replace the Medical Council of India Act 1956 and bringing mega reforms in the medical education sector. Decision on NEET as the common test for entrance to medical institutions across the country was also taken. And the Cabinet also approved substantial changes to the insolvency law. The changes are expected to lead to timely admission of applications and the timely completion of the corporate insolvency resolution process. And the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs also cleared 2 railway projects in Uttar Pradesh and 1 in the state of Assam.
आज तक देश के सबसे बड़ा हाइड्रो प्रोजेक्ट जल विद्युत प्रकल्प प्रोजेक्ट यह आज मंजूर हुआ है अरुणाचल में दिबांग प्रोजेक्ट 2880 मेगावाट का ये प्रोजेक्ट है, मल्टीपर्पज है। अभी क्या हो रहा है, नीट भी हो रही है और नीट के अलावा ऑल इंडिया मेडिकल काउंसिल की भी एग्जामिनेशन होती है, एंट्रेंस टेस्ट मल्टीपल है। अब सबके लिए नीट होगी।
And news from the northeast of the country. Well, there's no let-up in the flood situation in Assam as well as in Bihar, with the deluge claiming 44 more lives in the two states in the last 24 hours. According to the Assam State Disaster Management Authority, the death toll in the state has risen to 27. The flood waters have receded from Hailakandi district, but still more than 57 lakh people remain affected, and the Brahmaputra is flowing above the danger level in many districts. Meanwhile, Meghalaya and Mizoram are also grappling with floods, and Meghalaya Chief Minister Conrad M. Sangma has sought the centre's assistance. In Mizoram, more than 5,000 people are lodged in relief camps. More than 4,000 people are being evacuated, and rain-related incidents here have claimed 5 lives in the state. Meanwhile, death toll in the Bihar flash floods has soared to 67. The officials assert that the flood levels are beginning to recede in inundated areas, but the focus has now shifted to prevention of outbreak of diseases, and the death toll in the state is 33. Meanwhile, 3 children of a family were killed when the roof of their house collapsed during heavy rains in Bilaspur village of Uttar Pradesh's Muzaffarnagar district. And Delhi also received light showers, while in Punjab, after days of heavy rains, the weather remained largely dry. Sports news now. Star Indian sprinter Hima Das clinched her 4th gold medal in a fortnight as she won the 200 meters race in the Tabor Athletics meet in the Czech Republic. Hima won the race in 23.25 seconds, nearing her personal best of 23.1 seconds. And Hima's compatriot VK Vismaya was second with her season best of 23.43 seconds. Now, this is 19-year-old Hima's 4th gold since 2nd of July when she ran her first competitive race in Europe. And that is the wrap on this edition of Midday News. Thanks for your time.